I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. I'm always excited every Monday morning, mostly because I'm recording these Friday afternoon, but that's not the point. The point is, it is another week of gaming, and I'm excited we have lots of reviews and things, and last week we had such great fun. We were able to do a live playthrough of Lords of Hellas. We were testing out some new things with moving cameras and things. It seemed to have gone well, and so we're hoping to do that again this week with another game called Rising Sun, so hopefully you'll come and join us for that. I'll be doing a live Q&A later this afternoon around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope to see you guys there for questions. Other than that, this is the final week of our Kickstarter. So if you haven't done it yet, this is the time to jump in and support the Dice Tower. All these videos we put up each week and all the different things that we do and the improvements and the way things are getting better. That's our goal, is to constantly be getting better. And I hope that we're getting better as time goes by. All of that is thanks to you guys, the listeners, for backing us on Kickstarter. There's still some stretch goals. We are now doing another marathon. That's exciting. And Jason and Melody will be doing their top 100 games of all time. Will we get to the show with Z Garcia and Mark Streed? Will we get to Mandy's top 100? Those stretch goals are still there. So anyway, if you're interested in that, certainly let us know. Or go to our Kickstarter, which is a link in the description. Meanwhile, though, some really exciting news this week. Here it is. Okay, so let's take a look at the news. First of all, this is basically just to appease Sam, but Shadespire has a new faction coming, which is the Chosen Axes. Those are dwarves. Yay, dwarves. Then Eggert Spiel has a new logo. Eggert Spiel was bought by Plan B Games last year, and this is going to be a branch of Plan B Games that for their medium and heavy Euro games. Also, this is a really cool logo. I like it a lot. IDW has announced a new game in their Outpost series, Outpost Amazon, which looks like it has dinosaurs and such in it. A two-player card game, I think. And then AEG, a new expansion for Smash Up, because they're never going to stop. This one is that 70s expansion. The four factions are truckers, all right, ghost truckers, disco dancers. So we'll do, let's see, who will we mix disco dancers with? Shape-shifting disco dancers. Kung Fu fighters, because everyone's doing it. Everyone was doing it, I'm sorry. We'll mix Kung Fu fighters with Star Knights. And vigilantes, who we will mix with dinosaurs. Vigilante dinosaurs. That's a cool. Okay. That's neat. I'm always glad to see more Smash Up. Axio. This is a reworking of Rainer Knizia's very popular game, Ingenious, which would have probably won a Spiel des Jahres if it hadn't gone up the same year against Ticket to Ride. There's now an app for this, so you can download. This is the kind of thing that I think these games were made for, is for apps, so check that out. Twilight Imperium, for the 20th anniversary of Twilight Imperium, they've released a play mat, a 3-foot by 3-foot mat where it shows you how to do the setups for the players and to put the things on there. This looks great. I don't own Twilight Imperium anymore. I let Sam have it, and there's no reason for me to have it. But this looks like a great place to, I would definitely get this, just because of knowing and having it keeps everything in a thing. It has a nice space background, just looks really cool. Way of the Panda is coming out. This is a really cool looking game. This is comes with 52 miniatures, 4 panda clans. This is from CMON. This is not a Kickstarter game. This is one that they're done. It's a worker placement style game. So I'm very interested. I was surprised. We've now seen 2 games. There's 2 things Eric Lang's known for: putting hate in all his games somehow, and pandas. He loves pandas. And Cool Mini or Not came out with a game called Hate, not designed by Eric Lang. And now there's a game called Way of the Pandas, not designed by Eric Lang. It's very confusing, but it still looks very good. Wizards of the Coast has announced a new policy. This is a big deal, really, where, like last year, a judge, one of their judges was caught for being on a sex registry or sex offender registry. So now they are putting a new policy into play that if you want to be part of the Wizards Play Network or store, you need to do background checks on all your staff and volunteers in the event. This, of course, is causing some upheaval in the industry, but I think overall it should be a good thing for the hobby to have these in place. You can send your kids to these events and not worry about them. There's a new Sword and Sorcery expansion coming from Ares, Arcane Portal, also a bunch of hero packs, so they're definitely going to be continuing to support this dungeon crawl. There's a new expansion for Clank. Oh, hooray. Not Clank in Space, but regular Clank, The Mummy's Curse. So this is the second expansion. The first one was in water. This one's in the desert. A new board. This is coming out in March. Has a wandering mummy going through the thing. I love Clank, so I'm really looking forward to this. And finally, In a video that told us absolutely nothing about the game other than its name, Game Writers announced Forbidden Skies. Forbidden Skies is the next in their trilogy of Forbidden Desert and Forbidden Island. So I'm still hoping to make Forbidden Desert. But it looks like it. I mean, I'm assuming this cooperative game for Matt and Leacock will be great. What else do we know? I don't know. Probably you'll see that Gen Con is my guess. All right, that's the news. To Kickstarter.
Happy breakfast, everybody. As we ease into the final days of the Dice Tower's 2018 Kickstarter, I wanted to say thank you to you, all of you out there who have been able to financially support the campaign this year. It means a lot to me that you want to see the Dice Tower continue to grow and evolve and improve throughout this year. So thank you. All right, beyond that, let's take a look at what's happening in our crowdfunding world today. The Scarlet Pimpernel is based on a classic novel about a mysterious figure who worked secretively to save royalty from the French Revolution. In this worker placement game, you play as part of the League of the Scarlet Pimpernel. You work together to complete mission cards that each have a specific supporter and resource count by moving around the board and placing cubes in different areas. But this is not a cooperative game. As you gain influence over mission planning, you'll earn special favor tiles that provide new actions, but they can be stolen away by opponents. The Scarlet Pimpernel features beautiful Ian O'Toole art, and it comes in a basic edition for $55, or there's the signature edition with upgraded components throughout for $75 plus shipping. Valeria Card Kingdom's Shadow Veil expands the dice and card-based engine-building game by adding creatures of the night to Valeria, like werewolves and vampires. This expansion includes all new citizens, monsters, domains, and dukes. There's also an expansion pack called Relics that introduces a new mechanism that are basically special abilities that players receive at the beginning of the game. If you're a fan of Card Kingdoms and realize that you're out of box space, Daily Magic Games is also offering an add-on for a larger size box that will hold the base game and all the expansions in one. If you're a fan of Valeria Card Kingdoms, the Shadow Veil expansion is just $24 plus shipping. Warriors of Jogu is a quick 2-player bluffing and deduction game. You'll deploy units to different locations, but not every location will have a battle, and you only know the identity of one of those locations. So you work to deduce the other location by how your opponent is playing. You're playing in lanes that have a max unit value shared by both sides, and the cards have special abilities that vary between the 5 different factions that you can choose from. Not all locations are equal, and while you can flood a location with units, you have to be wary because if you lose the battle, you lose a lot more morale, which can cost you the game. You can get a basic set of Warriors of Jogu that includes 3 factions for $30 plus shipping, or for $39 plus shipping, you get the core set of Warriors of Jogu that includes all 5 factions. Tasty Minstrel Games is deluxifying Gentis. Designed by Stefan Risthaus, the designer of Arkwright, Gentis has players building ancient civilizations by training up key roles like scholars, soldiers, and merchants. You'll establish cities and monuments, and all of this leverages action tiles, which are a key mechanism that are really kind of cool because they have a time element. As you take more powerful actions that may take more time, it reduces your overall actionability even in the future. Originally published by Spielworks, the TMG Deluxified version includes hugely upgraded components, including screen-printed custom meeples and metal coins. Now, you can get the basic retail edition of the game in this campaign for $45 plus shipping, or you can get that Deluxified edition that is pretty much Kickstarter only for $59 plus shipping. U-Boot is a cooperative submarine simulator set in World War II that leverages worker placement supported by an app element. Players control 4 unique roles represented by miniatures on a truly awesome-looking 3D cardboard submarine board. The captain focuses on missions, action point costs, and morale. The first officer works the app and manages the flow of info and the crew health. The navigator sets depth and course and updates the map. And the chief engineer works the engines with repairs, ballast, weapons, etc. U-Boot offers skirmish, mission, or campaign play throughout all of the World War II naval battles, and the app has a ton of immersive features, and it really drives the theme, but it also generates the AI response to the player's choices. If you pledge for the game, they're including the huge neoprene playmat, and there are a number of upgrades available as add-ons. You get the game and mat for a pledge of £65 plus shipping. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you this episode. Hopefully something caught your eye. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
I'm Chaz Marler of Pair of Dice Paradise, and a recent discovery that I made has got me wondering if we are on the verge of experiencing a fundamental change in where we find and purchase games. Of course, yes, the cornerstone of the hobby, the friendly local game store that's dedicated to hobby games and merchandise, is still present. And we've also seen an increase in the presence and profitability of board game cafes. But then there's this subtle change that's been taking place at big box chains. Target has signed dozens of exclusive deals for games that could be easily classified as hobby board games. And even Walmart is starting to get into the act, having just inked a deal to be the exclusive carrier of Fog of Love from first-time publisher Hush Hush Projects. Yeah, that's quite a bit of cardboard that's being curated. But those places have always stocked a variety of games and have simply been allowing their catalog to evolve from stocking endless Trivial Pursuit Monopoly variants to now stocking endless Ticket to Ride, Munchkin, and Love Letter variants. Even so, it is progress. But no, the thing that's caught my attention has been seeing modern hobby board games starting to appear in locations that I've never seen board games before. And the owners of those locations investing their time and energy to educate themselves about the industry. Now, Hot Topic may not be the strongest example I could give, but it's been dabbling in board games recently, and the largest comic book shop in my hometown now has an entire wall adorned with variations of Risk, Axis and Allies, and Warhammer minis. But the biggest surprise came when I walked into a locally owned pop culture store in my area that's been around since 2001. They originally started out as a comic book shop, but their inventory of board games has been steadily increasing over the past couple of years, to the point where games now receive as much floor space as comics, t-shirts, Hello Kitty, and Star Wars merchandise. And it turns out, for good reason. Because over the last 12 to 18 months, board games have grown from being 6% to over 20% of their store's income. That's right, in a store that's just brimming with merchandise based on pop culture IPs, 1 out of every $5 that it generates comes from board game sales. And they didn't set out to be a board game store. It's just been a natural progression of their inventory as more and more of their customers have specifically asked for games to be stocked. Their store didn't seek out board games have sought out them. And that's what's got me wondering. Is the face of the local game store irreversibly changing in that a store that focuses solely on games may soon start to be the exception rather than the rule? Do you have one of these geek culture stores in your town? And if so, does it also sell a growing number of modern board games? Let me know in the comments below.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, I'll be taking a look at the upcoming game from Plaid Hat called Stuff Fables. Sam and I will be doing a review of Miami Dice of Lords of Hellas. So those are our two big reviews. But we're going to be doing a lot of other reviews this week. Actually, I have several reviews I was going over the list. Several reviews of games that I'm not quite so fond of. But I need to show you guys what they're like. So you'll see a lot of reviews. We'll be doing another top 10 list this week. What's the topic? It's too obscure for you guys to know about. But it will be coming out later on. And I think we have a board game blender coming out on Thursday. There's just a lot of fun things each week. Like I said, we're going to try to do a live play of Rising Sun. If you notice, I'm trying to do a few live events each week. Last week we did 2 or 3 live games. We did my live Q&A. We did a live back talk. So look for, especially these weeks that we're not going to conventions and things, look for more stuff like that. We're trying to get our live streaming together. Also this week we are going to be ending the Kickstarter. It's going to be closing down. So as we look to do that, keep an eye out for that. So just stuff coming from the Dice Tower this week. And of course, we have some new podcasts, which we'll talk about very shortly. In fact, let's do that now. Okay, so a couple new podcasts that are being added to the Dice Tower Network. We had 2 who joined last week, so we have 2 more that we're adding this week. First of all, we have Every Night is Game Night. This is a 30 to 45 minute podcast about strategy games, but a big emphasis on cooperative and solo games. The hosts, Jason Perez and Anthony Chatfield, who you might know from Board Game Anonymous there. And so on this, they're just basically talking about these. They also do interviews and reviews, talk about all different topics, do some pop culture silliness stuff. So definitely you want to check them out. We'll have a link down below. And of course, you can go to our website and find out about all these folks, or you can find out about them at DicetowerNetwork.com. And then we have the Board Game Design Lab, where they interview designers and publishers and insiders in the industry. In fact, I've been in the past interviewed by them myself. They do a really good job. This is a way, like if you are a designer of a game or you want to be involved in the industry, this is a podcast that you can listen to so that you can learn more about these games that you love. It comes out every Wednesday, so definitely check that one out also. So we welcome both these podcasts to the network. Every Night is Game Night, and Board Game Design Lab. Huzzah!
Hello guys, I am Cardboard Rhino and welcome to Rhino Says Yes. Today I brought one of my favorite two-player games, Jaipur. In Jaipur, you are 2 very powerful merchants and only one of you will have the privilege to be invited to the Maharaja's court after being awarded 2 seals of excellence. In order to get one of those, you need to be richer than your opponent at the end of a round. As you can see, there are several goods available, and at the back is their worth in rupees. Your starting hand is 5 cards, and you can never exceed holding 7. The cards can either be goods or camels. On your turn, you can either take cards or sell cards. To sell cards, you choose one type of good and discard as many cards of that type to get the matching tokens. The goods value decreases as the game progresses, but if you wait to have 3 or more cards of the same good to sell, you can get an extra bonus token. You cannot sell your camels, but they're helpful as a means of exchanging cards. If you choose to take cards on your turn, your first option is to take one good from the market and replace it with the top card from the deck. Another option is to take as many cards as you want from the market, exchanging them with the same number of cards from your hand or from your camels, or from a combination of both. Your last option is to take all the camels from the market and replace them with cards from the deck. When 3 types of goods are depleted, or when there are no more cards left in the deck, the game ends and the players count their rupees. The richest merchant wins 1 seal of excellence. Jaipur is a fast-paced card game with a very well-balanced mix of tactics and luck. With the very clever mechanic of the camels, you need to constantly assess the best timing for you to stay behind and invest in more camels for your next exchanges. It's one of the best two-player games I've played, and it's exciting because you're usually neck to neck with your opponent. So Rhino says yes to Jaipur, you should give it a try.
Hi, Mike Alicio from Solomode Games. You know, if this hobby wasn't great enough, recently it's actually inspired me into a bit of a discovery phase. One of the more popular recent solitaire games is Nemo's War 2nd Edition. Nemo's War is based off of the Jules Verne novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Now, this is a novel that I believe many people are familiar with. It's a classic of literature, and it's something that I read many years ago when I was quite a bit younger. But playing the game, and it's such a narrative game and immerses you into that world, it's actually inspired me to maybe want to pick the book up again and reread it as an adult. However, even more recently, a co-op/solo game has come out based off of another of Jules Verne's novels that I had never even heard of. This game is called Michael Strogoff, based off the novel by the same name. As I said, I had never heard of this book before. While I've read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan of Jules Verne. I hadn't done any other type of research. But this game is based off of 19th century Russia. That's the theme in the time of the czars. And I'm predisposed to be interested in this subject anyway. I'm a high school history teacher, and I teach this era of Russia in an AP history course that I teach, and so I'm already interested in this topic. And to find out that there's another Jules Verne novel that's been translated into board game form is particularly exciting to me. So I'm hoping that there'll be other games that inspire me to check out other forms of media. So I just wanted to know what your experiences have been. Have board games inspired you to discover other forms of media, whether they're books or movies or television shows? If so, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Two brothers set loose in a thrift store. This is Thrift Store Throwbacks.
You have 6 fingers on your right hand. I know someone who's looking for you.
Princess Buttercup! Boom! I'm like, oh.
An MLT and let tomato and the button's real nice and lean.
The pit of despair. Don't even think about escaping. Be honest. How do you feel? Just
Interesting. It's such a good moment. We are talking about The Princess Bride, of course, okay? We have a game, but we're not talking about the game just yet. We're talking about The Princess freaking Bride, okay? It is a movie that defies logic in that, okay, I don't care how popular something is, there's a fair amount of haters out there.
Always, yeah.
With the exception of The Princess Bride.
Yeah, no one hates it.
It has a 100% approval rate. The worst review I've ever gotten of that movie is like, yeah, it's alright.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard about it.
It's true. It's true.
What is that?
I would put it out there. Be like, if anyone out there hates The Princess Bride, say it. I'm guaranteed there'll be no comments about it.
Put it in the comments.
'Cause you don't.
If you dare. We're going to find out if this game is mostly dead in the water or pretty playable.
It's only mostly dead. Alright, so this is The Princess Bride Storm in the Castle. So you got your castle right here. First thing you do is choose a character. There's the 4 main characters. You got like Fezzik or Wesley or Buttercup or Inigo. I'm going to go ahead and choose Fezzik. So each player is going to have a line of essentially locations. So this is one player, this is one player, this is one player. And you're going to be going from location, 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 trying to get to the castle. The first one to get to the castle wins. Now, each location usually has a requirement. So to get to the Cliffs of Insanity, you need something like the climbing gear. So if you have that, you discard that, you get to go here. You also have these blue cards. These blue cards are usually like take that interactive cards. You can give someone an ROUS, or you can give someone the Shrieking Eels and it messes them up. Ha ha ha, so funny. First one to the castle is the winner.
So that was Princess Bride storming the castle.
Have fun storming the castle. I think they'll make it not a chance.
Not a chance.
I mean, does it live up to the movie? No.
Could
But at
it?
least it's a game.
It ain't Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I've seen it. That's all I'm saying.
No, I know.
Anyway, that's going to be it for us, folks. Do check us out on social media and stream with us live at twitch.tv/thebrothersmurph. And until next time, we'll see you in where the true love happens. And marriage.
Oh, we didn't do Maui.
So one of the things that we are talking about all the time, everywhere I go, is what's the state of the board game industry. And every time we talk about the fact that we live in this golden age, and we really do, right where I'm looking right now, I can see, I guess, 300 games probably. And in our other studio, there's another 200 games, like 500 games that I haven't even played yet. And many of these games look amazing and fantastic and wonderful. And I know the ones behind me are fantastic and wonderful. And so there's just so many games and so great. And you Kickstarter's doing well. And there's publishers and all the conventions are doing well. And every time we talk about this, there's this, all right, but when is it all going to collapse? I don't think this is something that we need to worry about. First of all, I don't think, I know life is a roller coaster and has its ups and downs, right? But I don't think we need to be sitting around going, oh, this whole thing's going to fall apart and worry about it. First of all, there's no real evidence that everything is going to fall apart. The industry is definitely going to change each year. It has. There's been massive sweeping changes in the industry, and these changes have dramatically changed how you do things. If you look at the industry 20, 30 years ago and where it's at now, it's remarkably different. The internet has had a tremendous impact on the industry. Kickstarter has had a tremendous impact on the industry. There are lots of different factors from, Tabletop, the show had an impact on the industry. Target revamping their board game section. Barnes & Noble's deciding to get into board games. There's like all sorts of things. And these things impact the industry, and things change. Things that worked 20 years ago don't work now. Things that work now might not work 20 years from now. But just because there's change doesn't mean that you, as a consumer, need to worry. And I see people worried all the time. And in one instance, I'm like, as a consumer, it's not a big deal. Let's say no new board games are made for the rest of our lives. You still would not be able to play all the board games that already exist. I'm not advocating that happens, but I'm saying that that's one thing. Who cares? There's so many games out there, right? And there are some slight things in the industry. We're seeing way too many games come out now. For any one game, it's hard for any game to become a hit because so many good games come out. Really solid, amazing games come out and instantly die on the vine. They sell, a few thousand copies, 5,000, 10,000 copies, and then they're gone because the next thing has come and taken its place. And for a game to become an evergreen is a more difficult thing. For a company to survive, it's even more difficult because there are so many companies out there with their brands. And people were worried that Asmodee was buying up everyone, and yet more companies get started all the time. And there's all these games in the market, and the market is struggling under this load of games because a store doesn't know what games to carry. It's hard for you as a consumer to say, what games am I going to get now? But be that as it may, the industry is still looking really good. Last year, every convention went up almost. The publishers, every convention I went to, I talked to the publishers, how's it going? And they would be like, this is amazing. This convention is great. Life is good. Some publishers went out of business. Some publishers are going to go out of business. But that's just how the free market works. But there's no people sitting around worrying. The stores, most game stores that I've talked to have had better years than they've ever had in 2017. It was fantastic. And some of them are looking, if we look at the Gamma Trade Show, there are more retailers attending that than have ever attended before. The industry as a whole is looking really healthy. Sure, there are problems and different things that go on in the industry, and if you go onto Facebook or other places, you're always finding people who are like, doom is coming, doom. And you know what? It's possible 2018 or 2019, might not be as good as past years. It necessarily isn't always going to go up, but it's gone up so much. It's easy for people to get into the industry. Even look at someone like me. To do reviews and to be part of the industry wasn't even something we considered years ago, and now it's a very distinct possibility. I'm not the only person who's doing it. There are many people. There are many companies who've hired media specialists. That was not even something that existed 10 years ago, really, where these companies had these liaisons that worked with people. And so we're seeing lots of cool things happening. And Kickstarter hasn't collapsed like people said it would. There's still bad Kickstarter projects, but there are still good ones, and the good ones are doing fantastic, and the growth there is amazing. So people always, things are doing so well. I think, everything's going to just go bananas. Just wait for it. And, let's draw parallels to the video game industry in the 80s and so on and so forth. But I think, first of all, that we concentrate on what we're doing. Do your best job at what you do. Whether, the publishers, the stores, all these people, you need to keep an eye on trends in the industry, obviously, but at the same time, you need to make gaming better where you're at. And I think that this whole worrying, especially from a consumer standpoint, what might happen? Yeah, let's say in 2018, only half the games that came out in 2017 come out. We'd still be fine. We would just see more of those games sold and just fewer different ones. That's a pretty cool concept. And so I think the whole overall outlook on gaming is good. Could I be wrong? Sure, I could be wrong. But I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now. I'm pretty happy seeing the future of the industry. I'm so excited to see what's going to come next. I see things like the PAX Unplugged convention just showing a new growth of young people into the hobby, which is fantastic. The whole thing's just exciting for me. So for me, the sky is not falling.
Now, in this week's episode, I already know I'm going to get some hate for it. Get it? Because it's going to be about hate. Now, before I start, of course, before people are like, oh, Gary hates CMON, or oh, Gary thinks it's CMON made bad. No, here's the thing. Before I start on this whole entire rant, I love CMON, I love their games, and I actually find this entire thing more hilarious than a bad thing or anything like that. Now, first off, if you haven't watched the Kickstarter video for Hate, obviously, be advised, it's definitely PG-13 rated R-ish material, so keep that in mind when you start watching the video. There are a lot of swears, but I would suggest go checking that out before you watch the rest of this clip. Actually, no, because Tom will get pissed off if I tell people to stop watching Board Game Breakfast, so watch it afterwards. But basically what's happened since the release of this Kickstarter is that it basically turned itself into a meme, and it's the funniest thing. Like, for example, there's this Reddit post that started up that's basically everyone turning some of their favorite games into parodies of the Hate trailer. And by far, my favorite one out of all of them is Go, of course. But by far, without anything even being close, the best thing that has sprouted from this is the trailer for Root. Now, if you don't know what Root is a Kickstarter that just finished not too long ago, and now they're doing pre-orders. But it's basically about a game in which it's asymmetrical and everyone's controlling these cute animals and they're trying to get points and stuff like that. It's made by a tag team of creators from the Pack series and also the Vast series. But no, the thing is hilarious. I'm gonna play like a tiny clip of it, but you really gotta watch the entire thing of it. But
to rule, you have to be the gosh darnest, cutest, and deadliest.
But before all of this happened, I wasn't really a big fan of the Hate trailer. It wasn't because of the swears or anything like that. I just personally didn't find it funny. It wasn't my thing. It just wasn't for me. But you know, at the end of the day, Simon are the guys that are making all the big bucks while I'm sitting here, a guy in his basement just talking about board games by himself. So I mean, congrats to you, Simon. You guys made the first board game meme of 2018. And someone brought up in a Reddit post how they're actually curious as to what other board game memes are out there. And I'm trying to think of like other ones. And I'm not sure if there are that many. But you know, because of this trailer, because of the reaction to it, I want more Hate trailers. I want more trailers that are just over the top, ridiculous, and just borderline stupid. Even though I guess it's doing like a whole what's that? What's ideolo? I need to look this up. Idiot Planet movie. Idiocracy.
Idiocracy.
That's it. Okay. So even though it's kind of bringing upon us an
Idiocracy
kind of situation where I'm like, oh, we should dumb down things, make things stupider. I don't know. I find it interesting, personally. Once again, I'm Gary Pope from Late to the Table. Until next time, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast.
Hello everyone, my name is Annette, and you may know me as Netters Plays, and today on Apply Mechanics, I'm going to go over Tybor the Builder. So Tybor the Builder has a lot of different mechanisms like drafting and multi-use cards, but the really cool thing about this game is that it has chapter cards, which tell a story. So let me show you a little bit more about the game and what I really like. So here's the card game of Tybor the Builder. You're going to use Tybor along with other citizens in order to build the village of Longsdale. At the beginning of the game, you'll give a player an overview card, which will give them a secret objective for the in-game scoring. After that, you're going to deal out a certain number of character cards to each player. Each player will then select one and then pass the rest of the cards to the next player. Once you finish drafting and end up with a total of 5 cards in your hand, then you're going to play your cards. You could play your card as a citizen where you'll place your card above your overview and then you will go ahead and acquire a certain discount for building. You can also acquire extra bonus points by collecting these different icons in the game. You can play your card as a worker, you'll place it beside your overview card, and it will grant you a certain amount of strength. You can play your card as a builder in which you'll use your worker cards that you've already placed in order to build these different buildings. By building these houses, it'll offer you points along with these different icons to score you extra points at the end of the game. This game will offer you these chapter cards, which will tell you a story for each chapter that you go through. Not only will it tell you the story of the game that you're playing, but it would also tell you a unique way of scoring at the end of the game. So as you can see, this card game has a lot of interesting mechanisms that tie in together so well. But the chapter cards really tell a story. Not only are you finding out more about the theme of the game through these chapters, but they also let you play this game in a different and unique way each time. So the scoring system is changing with the chapters, and that's why I really like this game. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Happy breakfast, everybody. Today I'm going to talk to you about something theme-wise that is on tracks to cross all genres. Western trains. Whether players are National Rail pretenders, cowboys, or just dastardly robbers, apparently Western trains in board games are kind of dangerous. On the reverse side of the new Ticket to Ride France board is Old West, hence the theme. The Old West variant is different because you build out from one location, and by building cities you can actually claim points when other players finish routes. A new mechanic for the franchise, and the board plays up to 6 players. Train Heist does pretty much what it says on the box. despite not being the best game out there. It's a cooperative experience where you're trying to loot the train, give to the local villages in a bit like a Robin Hood of the Desert sort of game. However, the Western train game that I found most exciting has to be Colt Express. This is a programming game which sounds about as tedious as it must be for the sheriff that keeps walking up and down the train, sending players to the roof. Effectively, each round, players are going to pick some cards and use them. However, only once everyone's used all their cards do the actions unfold. Shoot-offs will occur, briefcases and bags of money, and don't forget diamonds will be littered and looted from the train. You'll punch mid-air when someone's moved out of the way. And you'll even enjoy when the sheriff sort of stumbles into you and sends you to the roof, completely spoiling your plans. The more players you add, yes, the more chaotic it gets, but it's kind of still fun because the person you were going to shoot's moved out the way, so you've shot your friend that you kind of had a truce with, but certainly not anymore. Anyway, thanks for listening to me waffle on about Western trains, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Boards where you can't stack the pieces and you're having a hard time putting them all on the same scoring space.
Hi everyone. Arend and Aaltje from Ruinen in the Netherlands were in the news this week because they celebrated their 80th marriage anniversary, an oak anniversary. And their secret? It clicked at the beginning and after that they just let it happen. This week I am playing a game that is all about getting to know someone, falling in love and then just let it happen. This week I am playing Fog of Love. Fog of Love is a kind of relationship simulator, and I think it's important that both players know that they're playing a character and not as themselves. Creating a character is about choosing gender, 3 secret trade goals and an occupation. Your partner does the same, but also chooses 3 features that attracted their character to yours. Every feature, as well as your occupation, gives your character aspects that are marked on the board. And then it's time that our characters meet. Give them a name and let them introduce themselves. And then the game really begins. The players receive cards, or scenes as they are called, and they play one of them. Which mostly means that the other player needs to make a choice, or both players need to make a choice. Secretly choose and resolve, which will add more aspects on the board and players lose or gain satisfaction. In the finale, players choose one final destiny, and if one of the players or both players chose to play secrets before, they are revealed now. Trade goals are scored and players find out how they did in the end. Fog of Love is a fun game, but it is so different than any other game that we gamers are used to. It's not all about winning, it's about seeing where this relationship goes. Find out if these characters that we just created have a future together. I will be doing a live playthrough of Fog of Love with my wife Ilka this week on Twitch, and I will make sure to post it on YouTube afterwards as well. So if you're interested, you might want to check that out. My name is Dave Luza. Thanks for watching.
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. In this episode, I'm going to show you one of my favorite games that me and my wife love to play called Lost Cities. It's a great little 2-player card game. And I love the big board. And I love the big tarot-sized cards. Most of the time. But there are times when this big board just doesn't fit on the couch real well. And these big cards are too big for where I'm playing because we're in a smaller space. I'm going to show you a solution to this problem that you're going to want to run. You're going to want to get a pencil, a paper, and write this down. In Lost Cities by Cosmos, you are 2 explorers embarking on research journeys to remote corners of the world. And each one of these colors represents a part of that world. Well, that's good and fine, but I don't know about you, but these colors here are very difficult for a colorblind person such as myself to figure out. So there's lots of color issues with the board itself. As far as these are concerned, no problem at all. I love the big board, and I love the big cards when you have lots of room to play. But sometimes room is an issue.
So let me show you how I downsize this game to a better side. I present Lost Tickets to Ride, where you're looking for train tickets that are lost. Using the cards from the USA 1910 expansion, where the bigger cards for Ticket to Ride, I was able to take the cards because the cards were the perfect number. There was 12 of each train set. I had 9 cards for card numbers 2 through 10, plus 3 for the investor cards. So all I did was I took numbers, little paper numbers, and just put one on each side like this, 2 through 10. And then I created little investor hands for the investor cards. This is a great idea because the cards are now smaller and more manageable. Now, as you can tell, there's many more train types than there are. You can either make this a larger game with more points, or you can slim it down by doing this. Whoa! What just happened? I just got rid of these cards. Now you're playing with a smaller board. Bam! There are extra wilds in the Ticket to Ride game, so they go up to 12. You can use this if you want. You don't have to. But now you're playing with 5 different cards, just like the original, not counting this one, of course. And there you go. A smaller game of Lost Tickets to Ride to replace Lost Cities. So making Lost Tickets to Ride was not only fun, but it's very practical. And you can expand the game and just make it more fun, higher points, or play the normal game. But either way, it's a winner. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I will see you next time.
Ever been curious to try a Star Wars RPG? Hi, I'm Chris Renshaw from the Boards and Swords podcast, and this... What? What's that? Yeah, I know I'm wearing a Back to the Future shirt. So, what's your point? I'm wearing Charizard slippers as well. What's the big deal? I mean, yes, I know I'm about to do a Star Wars segment, but I didn't think it... Really? With the new hype going on with Star Wars in movie theaters and everyone all excited and talking about Star Wars, I thought I'd take this opportunity to again talk about FFG's Star Wars RPG. There are 3 different book lines, and it might be confusing if you're wanting to get into a Star Wars RPG and you're like, which one do I pick? I don't know, are these different? But no, fundamentally all these books are going to be the same, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of the differences. This book here is all about making characters and making stories about people in kind of like the outer rim of Star Wars. Your bounty hunters, your smugglers, those types of characters. Age of Rebellion, again, using the same core mechanics, this one is all centered around telling stories about mainly rebel soldiers. So you got soldiers and spies and pilots and etc. Lastly, if you love the Force and you love all the mysticism that goes on around that, then you're going to want to check out any of the Force and Destiny products. What kinds of Star Wars stories do you like to tell or do you like to play in? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure you follow me on all the different social medias. If you don't want to share down in the comments, you can let me know on there as well. But in the meantime, until next time we talk, may all your hits be crits.
Hello, my name's Dan, and this is Cora, and we're here today to talk to you about kids' games of...
like, bit 6-ish, 5 and under.
5 and under, 6-ish. We're getting a bit close to the age of 6 now, aren't you? It's not long till you're 6, so we're having to kind of spread the definition a little bit.
Yeah.
Games for young kids, anyway. And today, we're going to be talking about this game. What is it, Cora?
Sunny Day.
Sunny Day.
Sunny Day is a tile laying game where the players are trying to complete as many pictures as they possibly can. On your turn, you take one of the 3 tiles in your hand and place them into the tableau in the centre of the table. On each side of the square tiles is half a picture, and when you put them down, you have to match them up with the other tiles. When you complete a picture, you take the tiles you matched up with and then place them in your own private tableau. For every completed picture in your own tableau, you score 1 point. And the person with the most points at the end of the game is the winner.
So, Cora, what do you think about Sunny Day?
It's really good. It's like a puzzle for little kids. They could just try and work it out, couldn't they?
It's like a puzzle. It's actually a really, really quite clever abstract strategy game. And I had to rein myself in a little bit when I was playing with you because I was getting too competitive. Rain, yeah. Sunny Day and rain, yeah. Very good. So I really recommend it. I actually recommend it for playing with adults as well. It can be quite interesting with adults. But it's great for kids, matching up all the little symbols and things like
Yeah,
that.
so like, because you have to match up that, then you get like a little point thing. And
Yeah. So we give Sunny Day to Growing.
Yeah.
Okay. Growing, thumbs up.
Recently, why not? Recently, I was lucky enough to have an outgoing Frenchman ask me if I've ever played this game. Amethyst by Starry Games and designed by Carl Dimaegd. You know, the guy behind all the Unlocked series. He did this as well. Oh yeah. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but Amethyst over there looks boring. And that is saying something coming from me, because I'm not put off by a boring looking game. Oh no. I like it. Why? Just why? And out of all the games I've tried recently, which luckily for me has been actually quite a lot of like new games, like big hot listing hot top games, top of the list. Amethyst is the one I enjoyed the most, and it's old. I mean, 2007 isn't that old, but it's pretty old, right? I enjoyed it so much I bought it. So there. And for an old, boring looking game, Amethyst really did take me by surprise. Like when you throw something in the trash and it goes in first time, or you find 10 quid in your jeans, or you find 10 quid in the trash. That would really be cool. That'd be a big surprise, that one. So my question for you, if you want to homework, I guess, is, has there been any older games that have really taken you by surprise recently? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you, bye!
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast, folks. Thanks so much for coming by. Thanks to all my contributors for doing a fantastic job as always. If you notice, in different episodes, we have new contributors and things that show up, so always check them out. And, of course, comment, tell us what you like at Board Game Breakfast, what you're interested in seeing in the future, and we'll see you on many of our videos this week. I'll see you back in a few hours for the live Q&A. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.
Sunny day, chasing the clouds away.
Let's edit that bit out.
Okay.